It's train time, starting now, right after this small intro.
In compliance with COPA, this video is not for children under the age of 14. Viewer discretion is advised. Sponsored by Canadian Model Railroad.ca and by donations from patrons like you. Further support provided by miniprint.ca. Make your layout come alive with the 3D creation of miniprint.ca. And now on with the show with your hosts, Peter and Joe.
Well, Peter,
It's train time.
it's train time, episode number 10.
10.
Yes.
Number 10.
We have a fantastic show again this month. You had the pleasure to interview Barbara Lange.
Barbara Lange, yeah, and her two books, Through the Window of a Train and Memories of Grand Beach, Moonlight Specials.
Which coming up very shortly in this show. Also, we have the photo of the month.
Photo of the month,
You know, from our viewer, and we thank everybody that submit on our Facebook page or send pictures. And we got the view from above.
View from above, yes.
Good to see Dan Shettles. So, and we'll have also an update on our new power.
Our new power. Yes.
Yeah.
Our new power.
So, which is kind of great in some ways, other than we had a piece of tracks that been take out because it has to be redone.
Yes, it's a bridge approach, and we needed to redo it, and so we're down for a little bit of running time while the track gang works.
Well, that is all right.
And speaking of track gangs, we should put out a reminder that we have a 3-part episode out already.
Yeah.
On the maintenance of way that we saw in Meadows, Manitoba.
Yes, you got three segment on that series there. One was published on the 23rd, one on the 24th, and one on the 25th of September.
Right.
You know, and it's pretty rare that you have a track gang that doing the works that you can film at the same time. So that was an interesting rail fanning.
That was a bit of a find, yeah. That was on our Portage trip, so.
Well, it was supposed to be Portage, ended up at the Meadows and so on because of the tips for that. Well, that was great, really. I really enjoy it, you know, and you have seen already also our trip that we done in Kenora, which was pretty interesting when you listen to it.
That was out in our last episode, yeah.
Yeah. So, and this week with the episode with the interview with Barbara Lange and those books, you know, that would be pretty interesting too. So, for now, let's go for that interview that Peter has made with Barbara Lange.
This afternoon, we'd like to welcome Barb Lange to our CMR studios for a brief interview. Barb is the author of a couple of books that we've had on display in our podcasts. One is Through the Window of a Train, and the other one is Memories of the Moonlight Special and Grand Beach Train. The first one, Barb, I believe, was published in 2010. And the second one was 2018. Now, I guess the interesting thing is, how did you ever get interested in trains and then writing about them?
Well, I was brought up in a railway family in England. My dad was a ticket collector. That's what they called them in England. He worked for British Rail. And every year he'd use his rail pass to take the family to beaches all around England. So I was very fortunate. I didn't really think of myself as being in a railway family, but that was exactly what it was. And so the love of trains, because in England there's trains running all day, every day.
Yes.
And I traveled on them to go to school, to go to work. And then when I came here, I got on the Canadian from the Toronto rail station.
Right.
And rode here.
Which is CP Rail?
No, CN.
Via Rail.
Yeah, Via.
Okay. I know COVID has kind of put a kibosh on things, but do you still go on train trips?
Mentally, many times, but otherwise I just get my books out. Actually, I haven't read my first one for a long time, so every now and then I pick it up and open it up, and it's, it just transports you back to that era, mostly the steam era. It concentrates on it.
Yeah. I noticed when I was looking at this that through the window of a train, it's a lot of like individual, like anecdote type stories.
Yes, that's right. Sorry.
How did you ever accumulate all the stories?
I don't know. Well, first of all, I did not plan to write a book, believe it or not.
Okay.
It was not on my wish list. It was not in my dreams.
Okay.
It kind of just happened. And mostly from the time that my husband retired from CN.
Okay.
And we started traveling on the train across Canada, which before we'd only done by road. And we met some really interesting people who had some really interesting stories, railway employees, people that traveled. And I made a remark to my husband that's stuck in my brain ever since, because I said, someone should write these stories down, not ever thinking it might end up being me.
And so you did.
So when I was serious about it, I thought, it'll take too long for me to accumulate the number of stories that I wanted, because I had short stories in mind. And so I put out a call to all the railway groups, to writers groups, and any group I could think of on the internet.
Yeah.
And I had mostly Canadian stories back. I did have one from India and one from Czechoslovakia, I think it was. But I decided, no, this needs to be a Canadian book. So that's there, it just grew.
It just kept growing. And then along came the Graham Beach one. Now, I know there is a book by, I have it at home, I think Dale Barber on Winnipeg Beach.
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
Oh, yes, very much so.
But yours is the Graham Beach one.
Yes.
And that kind of follows the same
pattern? Well, not really. It kind of follows the pattern of the first one in that it's people's memories, just ordinary people. Dale did a wonderful job with, it's called Winnipeg Beach.
Yeah.
He did a wonderful job, but he concentrated more on what I would call the academic side, because he is an academic. I was not, and I just purely wanted people to tell me the kind of story that they might have told to their family when they're sitting down at dinner. Hey, do you remember when Uncle Fred did so-and-so? So that's what I was looking for.
Okay. So it is slightly different, but it's still kind of anecdotes and personal experiences.
Very much so. There's 60 short stories and 60 photographs in there, so it makes a really pleasant read.
Yeah.
And one of the amazing thing was, Through the Window of a Train, there was only one story about Grand Beach, and it was that sparked my interest in it.
Okay.
So I started, just for my own curiosity, started looking into the research and things like that, and lo and behold, I ended up with the second book, which again I never intended to do, but fate takes you down different paths, right?
Yeah, absolutely, because I know when the Graham Beach book came out, I think that was around the time, we'd just finished with our Selkirk Club. We'd just done a diorama at the Graham Beach and made the connection with the book. It was, we were doing the diorama for 1925. When the dance hall and the hotel and everything were being built. So reading your book was very interesting in that respect. But it's amazing how you contacted all of these people to get all these different stories. How long did it take you to do all of this?
Well, it was 2009 when we were putting the end part, putting the stories together for Through the Window, where the one about Grand Beach was. So it was from 2009 until it finally got printed. So that it was like, well, I say 10 years for each book. It's easier to say that.
Okay, yeah. God, it's amazing. I just want to grab this book for a minute. We're going to have these books on our website for sale.
Okay.
And I kind of have my own personal connection to Grand Beach in that my mother, her family had a cottage there.
Uh-huh.
And I of course wasn't around to enjoy the cottage, but the stories that she would tell me about Grand Beach and what went on there was amazing. So in reading your book on Grand Beach was interesting to me. I'm almost at a loss as to it's mind-boggling to me how, going back to the collection of the stories, like the amount of hours and stuff that you've spent on this is phenomenal.
My husband would agree with that.
Yeah. But you still, hopefully when COVID is over, we'll get back to train travel.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
I want to go back over to Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
Catch the train, get off at Vancouver, and get the ferry, and that's one of my favorite all-time trips.
Yeah, traveling through the mountains is something special.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I've done it different times of year. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah, I've been through as a kid. I went through the mountains on train because that's how we traveled with my family. I've driven it a number of times, and going through the mountains is just, it's a beautiful landscape.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. I think every Canadian should take a trip through the Rockies. It's unbelievable, and it's different every time.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's beautiful.
Depending on what time of year you go and stuff.
Yes.
And actually, one of the fellows that is with us at CMR, he worked with CP on the coal trains through the mountains. So we have done a little bit on his Elko locomotives that he worked on, but that's another story.
Oh yeah, lots of stories.
Lots of stories. Yeah, yeah. So I'm trying to.
One thing I thought was really neat, if I can just.
Yes, go ahead.
It was like a lot of people that I interviewed for Moonlight Special were in the early 90s, and they had such clear memories of those times, which was wonderful for me as an author, putting a book together.
Yeah.
But the one thing that stays with me, and I probably will never forget, is how when I would mention, or anybody would mention Moonlight Special to any of the seniors who experienced that area, their whole face lit up and their eyes twinkled.
Yeah.
It was just wonderful to see that. If I don't get anything else out of the book, it was the satisfaction of seeing that on their faces.
The reaction of the memories that it brought back. Yeah. It's no wonder you've called it Memories of the Moonlight Special.
Well, the Moonlight Special, as you well know, there were 2 Moonlight Specials. Can I just elaborate on that?
Yes. Oh, yes. Please go ahead.
So, and I come from England, as everybody tells me, they can know by my accent. So I had no experience of this beach train. It was just the fact from my childhood I had gone to the beach every year by train. So when I started to collect the memories for Moonlight Special, I was thinking grandiose. I'll do Winnipeg Beach, and I'll do Grand Beach, and I'll do Victoria Beach, and all of the different resorts on the east side. Well, through my research, I found out that the CP was the first rail company to build a line to the beach, and that was on the west side of Lake Winnipeg.
Right, Winnipeg Beach.
Right, and they had a Moonlight Special. And then CN, which was originally the Great Northern, yes, they saw how much money CP was making, so they did the same thing, and they had a Moonlight Special. So it means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's why my title is so long, because I had to put in Grand Beach. But the line itself was called officially the Victoria Beach Subdivision.
Right.
And it ran to Victoria Beach.
Right, from Transcona.
Yeah. Stopped at about 20 stations along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot more than just Grand Beach.
Yeah. And in what readings I've done, is the two beaches, Winnipeg Beach and Grand Beach, were in a small way modeled after one of the resorts in the
Coney
States,
Island.
the Coney Island.
Right. Yeah, they thought that Grand Beach would be, because it had a beautiful dancing pavilion and was so popular. So many people, tens of thousands of people went in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And they, the authorities thought that it would eventually become the Coney Island of the North.
Mm-hmm.
That was its kind of nickname for a while,
Yeah.
until the dancing pavilion burnt down.
Of course, yeah. And continuing on to Victoria Beach, which was in my memory and from talking to people, was the kind of the elite beach in comparison to Grand Beach. If you were a Victoria Beach resident, you were kind of the hoity-toity.
A higher class.
Yeah. And when the automobiles came into being, it was closed to automobile traffic. So it I guess, wanted to keep the train privacy. I'm not sure, but
well, I think they wanted to keep it natural, so that people could enjoy the surroundings by walking and biking freely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still that today,
yeah,
which is wonderful. But the train came up and stopped in the middle of the green, which is the whole hub of Victoria Beach.
Yes, yeah.
And they still have some of the relics there.
Yeah, I know when we were doing the research for our diorama at Grand Beach, we located the Victoria Beach Station, which is owned by a private individual and is their cottage, and we used that to model the Grand Beach Station on that diorama. So, a lot of connections with.
We should tell people that they can go and see your diorama.
Yeah, there's
Grand Marais.
Yeah, we've actually heard back that it won an award for
the museum did.
For the whole thing. And there's been thousands of people. For a while there, they were giving us a list of people and where they were from. But there's been thousands that have seen it apparently. So.
Well, it's a tiny little museum, but it's tightly packed with everything to do with that era.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth a visit.
So hopefully COVID is over with soon, and we can get back to some normal visitation and reading of railway books.
That would be nice.
We'd certainly like to promote the book. We've been promoting it on the podcasts. And we certainly hope that our viewers out there will connect with our website, which will be published on the podcast. www.canadianmodelrailroad.ca is the website. We have a store there for the books to be displayed on. And I don't know if you ever want to write another book on railroads, certainly feel free to. You could always do the Winnipeg Beach side too, but I'd like to certainly thank you for coming out and talking to us today.
Thank you, Peter.
I hope that we've covered enough on the books that we can certainly promote them on our podcast.
That's wonderful. That's lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for writing the books.
Oh, you're welcome. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Well, now we got a photo of the month.
Mm-hmm.
They are a little different this month.
They're always interesting.
Yeah, but the format is a little different too.
Okay.
So let's surprise our viewer and let's go see the photo of the month.
Enjoy.
How did you like the new format?
That was very good. Very good. Enjoyed it.
Different.
Yes.
So, having said that, Peter, maybe now we should go see a little bit of a view from above.
View from above.
So that the viewer have some idea on modeling different type of terrain.
Mhm.
That's really what a view from above done.
Yes.
And the drones now that are used to do those type of things is
Mhm.
just marvelous. You know,
Yes.
we wish we did have drones like that, but
Well,
so far we don't.
We're still looking into having our own, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but that will take a little bit of time. So enjoy the view from above. You know, from courtesy of Dan Shettles.
Enjoy.
Enjoy. Well, Peter, I had a conversation via the internet with our sponsor, Mini Print, with Bernard.
Yes.
And remember, we were talking about the fact we want to put a contest together.
Right.
So when we put a contest together, Bernard will supply a prize.
Mm-hmm.
And what is Bernard doing right now is having a subscriptions.
Right.
You will be having a subscriptions to mini prints where every month you will receive some mini prints, which are a great value, okay, for the price really that you would pay for your subscription. And every month you will receive them. So, and every month they will be different and so on. And so what will happen is that with the contest, the winner of the contest will get a 1-year subscription at Mini Prints. So, but for now, the details of Mini Prints subscriptions are not totally set yet. So we will have more into that in the time that come in.
Yeah, more detail,
right?
yeah.
But I tell you, it's train time. We'll have a contest, and in there, Mini Print would be involved, right? And so we cannot really tell you about the contest yet because we have to hammer some details.
Some details out,
right?
Yes.
And that also we have to establish who would be judging the contest.
Right.
So we'll get back to you on a future show in regard to subscriptions for Mini Prints and for the contest with It's Train Time.
Yeah. So, Joe, we have new power on our layout.
Yeah. Well, that was an experience and a half.
Yes.
You know, they tell you, you can be set, ready to go in 10 minutes.
Yes, I'll believe it.
It took 10 days.
Yeah, it was about 10 days. Yeah. We did discover we had some problems from our blow up that delayed us in getting started, but
Yeah, the blow up was a little bit more extensive.
yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
So, to me, when the set come in, it came in with the UR93, which is replacing the UR92, which we had. And I thought that the UR92 hadn't been touched. Well, I discovered very rapidly that the UR92 was blown.
It was blown up as well, yeah.
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 So when we went and had the UR93 online there, it all fall in place. So now you will see with the clips on B-rolls that are rolling probably right now, how we set up the power control of the layouts.
Yeah.
We got the big PS 2012E, I believe. In a way, that's
the power. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a power supply.
Yeah.
It's a 20 amp steady power supply, and that power supply really do supply the powers for the two boosters, the DB220 and the booster DB150, which was the DB150 was not connected. It was on the workbench when we had that power failure.
Yeah.
So now the DB150 feed the short line.
Short line, yeah.
And one of the DB220 feed line 1 west and line 1 east, and the other one line 2 west and 2 east.
Right.
And the command control, which is the DCS 210, that one feed the yard only.
Yep.
So it make a difference, and each one of those zone are all covered with a breaker which is the PSX1. Instead of going with the PSX4, we went with the PSX1, and it's one for each section.
One for each section.
Yeah. Now, the difference is on the PSX1, 5 of them are in the revision L, and one of them is on the revision M, which is an older version where the wires are reversed from the others, but it worked.
And that one we have on the 150.
Yeah, and it worked excellent. It doesn't at that point make any difference. It's just that you got to wire it a little different. And with the PR3 and with the command control, the DCS 210s, you can connect to your computer, you know, and the GMRI and so on and so on. And we also have module 64 that you can download sound, you know, for the decoder from Digitrax, and we can also operate it through the computer, and you can use that also to go with a Wi-Fi if you install a Wi-Fi that is dedicated just to the train room.
Now we're not running the layout through the computer because we like to have hands-on.
Right. And what we use for that is the DT500D.
Right. The radio control.
Right. It's all radio control. In the kit, when it came in, they had the DT602D, which is their new throttle. The review on that one are not necessarily good so far. There's still some bugs to it and so on. So we quickly send back that one to the suppliers to get the 500. For
the 500, yeah.
500D. So everybody on our layout that operate in there will have exactly the same equipment, which it's a whole lot easier to manage. You know, that technology we receive is the latest that they have right now on Digitrax, though that maybe by the time the show is published, they might have some new technology again, you know. But
you never know.
We never know. But for the layout right now,
we're good.
We're good.
We're good.
You know, we got more power than we need.
Yeah.
So it's been a very interesting journey, if you remember, Peter. Though it make us look at other things on the layout because of that, is sometimes you take your layout a little bit for granted.
Well, we had to go through the whole layout, and we have a number of the UP5s. We had to check every one of them out because we found a couple of them were fried.
3 of them.
And so we had to replace them. But what's the total number that we have on the layout? There was 11. So it took us a little while to go through and check everything. And
well, 11 UP5. We had 2 UR90. The 2 UR90 now are totally dysfunctional.
Right.
They are there, but they are not connected to the system.
That's
because
the infrared.
Yeah, that's the infrared, because we're running it radio-wise.
Yeah.
Right?
No, Digitrax that's an obsolete, the infrared, isn't it?
Well, not really. They still produce the infrared, no doubt. What they do not produce anymore or build is the UR92.
UR92, right.
Which was a radio control. The UR93, you have a wider range on it, and well, for the size of the building here, for the size of the layout, which is 24 by 34, you can be at any space anywhere on the layout.
On the layout here, okay.
And the radio is working flawlessly.
Yep.
which with the UR92 is some corners that might have been left a little bit to desire with some delay on it. But with the UR93, you have absolutely no delay.
Yeah.
It's very well.
That's good.
You know. So, are we pleased with the new system? I will say by what we saw so far, yes.
It's good, yeah. And once the track gang finishes their renovation, we'll be able to run around the whole layout, so we'll give it a good test.
Yeah, well, yes, because we have to finish the track work need a little bit at some place, a little bit of fineness, correction, tweaking, and that type of thing. And when that is done, we'll be starting to show you guys what we're doing with the layout. That's when you will start to have the first view of the layout itself. Because some people have been asking, Peter, do we want to show our layout? And said, yes, it's coming. So far we weren't ready for that. But we'll be giving you a tour of the layout, as it is pretty much so now. And then we'll be working some very specific area that will be on film. And that would be a lot of episode that would be added on to our show, which will probably be even more interesting for you, the viewer, because you will see the work that we're doing. And you will see the rough building as far as scenery is concerned. And then you will see some video that would be as we start to build the scene itself, right? And then the final scenes and the details and that type of thing, all in different segments. So that should be very interesting, especially for somebody who's starting in building a layout.
Right from the raw bench work right through to the finished scene.
Well, the raw bench work per se is treated by so many videos, right? That we didn't make video as how to build your bench.
No.
Because that specific layout, the railroad, had a very specific bench work done to it. So, but from the rough of the sceneries to the completion of the sceneries, and also all the how-to video that will be coming in on building the building and the factories and the businesses that are there, would be pretty interesting, because most of them, if they're not scratch built, they're kit bash and so on, is nothing to really look like what the kit was.
Kit altered?
Yeah, there's a lot of alterations because to make the layout having a personal touch. So you're working right now on a very good project, Peter, up there on the layout.
The Steel River Campground?
Yep. The Joanne Campground for the Steel River. And it's pretty involved what you're doing there.
Yeah, the track crew sometimes gives me some action about, are you finished yet?
Well, the wizard like to say that.
Yeah.
For the one who doesn't know, the wizard is Tony Zerba. That's the only one who worked for CP.
Our Elko man.
Yeah, the Elko man. So, folks, I like to think that you enjoying your show, our podcast, and we enjoy to producing it for you, the viewer, and hope that in some of the things that we publishing, that somebody learned something out of it. And if it can help even only one person to have his layout better,
that's good.
We have achieved our goal. So keep supporting us, keep watching, please leave comments. We don't have enough comments coming in. Let a lot of comment coming in on the videos or on the Facebook group. We need them because that's the directions for us to take with our videos. So
something else that we mentioned that we wanted to ask our viewing public for is we're interested in getting photographs of the commemorative locomotives for the armed forces.
The Transform
And
SD9043 and 2DS D70 Mac.
Yep, and the heritage ones that were produced by CP. If anybody has photographs, send them in to us.
Or even some video clip.
Video would even be beneficial, and we'll eventually get them onto photos of the month, or if it's a video, we'll do it as a film clip as one of our shows. Just make sure that it hasn't been already published on YouTube.
Right. Well, if we got enough material for those, right? You're talking about like the 6644 and those, the military one, and the one that were on the old colors,
the old heritage
colors and so on. If we got enough photos and videos, whatever, if it's by rail fanning or by some of those locomotives that you have rebuilt and repaint, we will make a segment for it. You know, and because they are part of the Canadian heritage, but they are also part of the American heritage. So send us those, through our Facebook groups, at Canadian Model Railroad Facebook groups. And if you see what is rolling right now, at the top of the page, you're at the right place. So send your comments, subscribe, click the bell so you can have the announcement that this new video coming in. And we're looking forward to see you in November for show number 11.
Yes. Take care. Enjoy.
Have a good time, guy. Model railroading is fun.
You betcha.